Let's execute an immediate, high-gear tactical vector shift away from rogue Black Ops mercenary networks and international deep state betrays, and drop directly onto the suffocating, cold, calculation-heavy tracking grids of federal behavioral profiling, institutional cover-ups, and the dark psychological underbelly of a maximum security penitentiary. We are crossing the threshold directly into the hyper-monitored interrogation cells, concrete isolation blocks, and long-buried conspiratorial timelines of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, with the Inmate's Secret, the exceptional, rapid-pulsing 21st deployment anchoring the chart-topping Blake Wilder FBI mystery thriller series by the reigning sovereign of high-stakes behavioral analysis and forensic crime fiction, Elle Gray. This high-velocity procedural operation delivers a thrilling look at an operational crossroads where an elite female FBI profiling asset, a cold-blooded prison yard execution, and a labyrinth of institutional secrets collide at terminal velocity. Let's lay out the strategic narrative grid. If you are a fan of high-octane, deeply analytical serial killer thrillers where a brilliant, haunted special agent must navigate an absolute maze of prison gang alliances, corrupt correctional command structures, and lethal bureaucratic lockdowns while running a blind behavioral loop inside a hostile cage, where an analytical mind uses future-facing forensic databases, micro-expression lifestyle profiling, and absolute psychological stamina to outmaneuver both sociopathic lifers and shadow systemic conspirators, and where the author utilizes an incandescent genius profiler unraveling a conspiracy trapped inside a maximum security fortress diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural survival perimeters, this book is engineered to lock you in. Gray completely dominates the FBI behavioral noir dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating institutional claustrophobia, and deep emotional scars popularized by genrevars like Corinne Slaughter, Lisa Gardner, Melinda Lee, and Mary Burton, while treating federal law enforcement logistics, penitentiary subcultures, and protective operational defense grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on Special Agent Blake Wilder, a masterfully calculated blueprint of investigative resilience operating under a severe, calculation-heavy handicap. Wilder is a legendary federal asset whose daily workspace is an intricate matrix of grisly crime scenes, secure agency labs, and the heavy psychological weight of her own traumatic family history. Her internal defense mechanisms are locked down tight behind a layer of absolute professional brilliance, her entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring serial behavioral patterns, parsing complex forensic data points, and shielding her dedicated team from being permanently compromised by an incoming wave of systemic judicial corruption. The spark ignites when her active scanning perimeter registers an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly, a high-profile inmate possessing critical, explosive information regarding an unmapped federal conspiracy is brutally assassinated inside his cell block just hours before his scheduled transfer. The official diagnostic metrics of the prison security network flatline instantly as the facility goes into an absolute emergency lockdown and a multi-tiered cover-up sequence engages from the upper ranks of administration. Wilder's analytical mind forces an active tracking sequence. The standard boundaries of local prison authority crumble, and our protagonist is forced into a deadly race against the clock, tracking a ruthless killer who is hunting down anyone connected to the dead inmate's final testament. The tactical parameters instantly explode as her forensic and survival warfare turns completely active, transforming the concrete facility into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone. Our veteran federal investigator is forced to deploy her massive intuitive tradecraft, environmental mapping skills, and raw psychological stamina to maintain her perimeter before the institutional shadows erase the remaining data trail. When deceptive prison wardens, hostile gang factions, and calculation-heavy administrative blockades launch aggressive countermeasures to permanently suppress her badge, her survival instincts engage their final deployment tracks. Every midnight cell sweep, every silent choice to confront a highly dangerous psychopathic asset behind closed doors without standard backup networks, and every intense moment of channeling her deep behavioral profiling skills chips away at her reliance on original defensive rules. What follows is an exceptional, high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the Corrections Empire's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as Gray reveals that the true victory requires more than just solving a prison homicide or closing an agency file. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of human justice and fundamental truth against a cold, calculating institutional machine. While our central protagonist smooths over her psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, a brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes administrative trials shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that external hazards have tracked her movement to the final outpost.
To survive the impending lock-grid trap and permanently secure the hidden truth, our resilient agent must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of her final boundary limits. It is an FBI procedural, prison action thriller, institutional corruption drama, high-velocity psychological suspense masterpiece that treats deep localized forensics and intense emotional friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one unlocked cell gate triggers a fatal prison riot energy, where a sudden pause in a dark concrete corridor, an unexpected shift in an inmate's protective physical posture during an active interrogation, or a heavy, possessive realization that the system itself is protecting a lethal monster carries massive structural weight. Gray writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, perfectly capturing the cold, metallic hum of sliding iron bars, the oppressive, heavy atmosphere of an overcrowded cell block during a heat wave, and the distinct, subtle scent of industrial disinfectant, cold sweat, copper, gun oil, damp stone, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this long-running series installment into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance realistic FBI behavioral analysis mechanics and genuine high-stakes penitentiary tradecraft alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep conceptual hooks. Our protagonist doesn't rely on unbelievable, superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Her immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound protective instincts match the complexity of the chaotic criminal and bureaucratic underworld she dominates step for step, making her choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking personal breakthroughs before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total, hard-earned advancement to her horizon. The Inmate's Secret is the definitive, pro-level upgrade your high-stakes crime fiction and dark psychological suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputdownable. It proves that when your entire investigation is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional conspiracy, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite profiling training, and fight like hell against the system to rewrite the data. So, secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track Special Agent Blake Wilder.